Hey there, everybody. Check this out. Figs on a fig leaf. There's another beautiful day in D&D land. Let's just pop out our chat here so I can see everybody saying stuff. Today's cheese for the cheese eating segment is a Puhoi, who've rapidly become my favourite cheese company. I'm trying their aged cheddar, which is wax sealed, along with some coffee and a couple of fresh figs off the tree. Hey CW, hey, yep, no, you're right on time. Welcome, welcome. So here we go. Cut and open the cheese. Sealed in a thick layer of black wax, which is Puhoi's signature style. I don't know if it's sealed for the cheese's protection or the protection of everyone around the cheese. Hey everybody, Dragon Turtle, Mr. L, Arthur Hutchinson, Michael, nice to see you, Stanchskate, Stardust Soul, Steve, Livermorn, how's it going? Cheese for the Cheese God. Hey Gorga, Gorhath, Dragon Lord, nice to see you, nice to see you. The Cheese DM, well, maybe so. So there's our aged cheddar. I'm hoping for some nice crystals in the cheddar. Let's give it a go. Greetings. Well, exactly. That is a pretty good cheddar, I would say. But I think they're basically hyping it up a little bit. It's a very good, tasty cheddar. I think I'll have that as a melt later on. Right, fresh fig to follow up. These have been picked off the tree about 15 minutes ago. Oh, figs are so good. Perfect complement to a cheese. Hey Ian. The cheese. Well, the cheese segment is just the start of the stream. Gives everybody a chance to get in here. Was that the message that you get when the live chat starts, Michael? Abide by our rules. Was that YouTube's rules? What rules do I have? Smashing the like button. Nice. Okay, so that concludes the cheese eating segment of the show. Hi, Quentin. Overlord of Midgard. D&D does need a cheese golem. That's true. Party, you just missed the cheese. That's it. Cheese Lovecraft. Whoa, wow. Strong coffee, strong Robert Harris espresso coffee after a sweet fig. Quite a jolt. How many types of cheese are there in Faerun? Actually, there's some very famous cheeses in Faerun. For instance, there's cheeses that you can get specifically in Cormier, and there's cheeses which are exported around Faerun. Underdark Munster. Wow, they're probably let's see, what are the Roth? Roth are the animals that dwarves take underground with them, so there's probably Roth cheese. There had Cheddar Bee D&D talk, absolutely. So first, a couple of things. What's coming up on the channel? I am currently about halfway through the writing of the script for the history of Netheril. I'm debating whether to turn it into two different videos, because one is the rise of Netheril and their relationship with various groups around the nation of Netheril, where they began and where they got their obsession with military might and magic. Do I like my coffee beans burnt? Well, these are packs of espresso, pre-ground espresso, and this one is particularly burnt. On April 1st, do an ecology on cheeses. Yeah, I should do. There's definitely roast cheese. Oh, good. Mousefolk mercenaries that are paid in cheese salary. Clerics, the most common cheese. So, what's coming up in monster videos? So we have just completed the gargoyle. So next up is deep gnomes, golems, and the gorgon. So we'll probably see deep gnome and gorgons, deep gnomes, and the start of a golems series. So I'll do. I've already done an overview of golems a while back, although the sound quality on that video was terrible. So I'll be going over a lot of that information again. And then, yeah, all things golem. Everything you needed to know about golems. Their history, their origin, outside of the game and in the game, and the different types of golems, strengths and weaknesses. And really good ways to use golems. So, yeah, Netheril is coming up very quickly. And I'm doing some pretty intense research on it. Unfortunately, I can't show you my notes that I'm working on at the moment, but they're substantial. It's going to be a long video. I was up till the wee hours last night, which is why I look very blurry-eyed, because I was up at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was on a writing kick, and I was just like, just one more bit. It was just flowing really well. Deep gnomes, Firth Neblin, are also one of my favourite creatures as well, so I'm going to be paying some particular attention to them, as well as their history in the Forgotten Realms. Hey, have fun in the Scytherian game, Ian. We're signing contracts. Oh, nice. Let me know how it goes. Hey, Gorhath, thank you. My wizard's made a steam engine. Haha, nice. Gorhath has reminded me to remind you that this is a monetized, super chat enabled live stream, and I will stream for cheese. Albeit the fictional Netheril is portrayed to be fallen, there are no doubts in my heart that the real one will never fall. Netheril did nothing wrong. Yeah, well, Netheril was kind of on the ropes with the Faerun before Cassus's folly. Gnome Depot. Nice, that's great. Hey, Gerbil. Flesh Golem and Gelatinous equals party murder. Yeah. Flesh Golems and Blue Dragons make a great party murder as well. Yeah, so, okay, so then it would be Gorgon, Grimlock, Half Dragon. Everybody's been waiting for Half Dragon. Harpy, Helmed Horror, Hippogriff, Homunculus, Invisible Stalker, Kraken, Magman, Mero, Nightmare, Ogre, Pegasus, Piercer, Pixie, Quaggoth, Revenant. A lot of people have been waiting for the Revenant video as well. Sahuagin, which I'm looking forward to. Salamander, Satyr, Scarecrow, Spectre, Sphinx, which is going to be quite complicated because there's lots of different types of Sphinxes. Water Weird, Wraith, and Yeti. And then I will be digging into a lot of demon videos and other requested videos like Living Spells, Vestiges, Dead Gods, Grungs, the Lachey video, which is half done already but has been waiting around. I might actually throw the Lachey video in a bit early. No, Gerbil. Yeah, there are a lot of golems. Yep, I have seen the request for the Asgard video, and I will be making an Asgard video for sure. The Netheril shouldn't put their cities in the sky. They fell through the arrogance. They actually achieved that feat fairly early on. Almost as soon as they found the Netheril scrolls, they rose the cities up, and that's when the Ilani elves became like. You can imagine the Ilani elves sitting in their forest looking up as these cities rose above them and thinking, that's a little giant-like for our tastes. Because, yeah. The Netherese would have seen the giant cloud cities and gone, how do they do that? How can we do that? Listen to the Yeti freeze the Pop-Tart. Yeah, I really enjoy making the Demon series as well. Thank you, Oakley. No question to go with that? Just a donation? Thank you. Yes, Half Dragons. You suggest doing a video of Draconians. We already know. I know we already guessed a couple of times, but Draconians are cool. Yeah, Draconians are on the way. Yep. So all of the quasi-elemental planes and things, I wouldn't have covered them in the overview if I wasn't going to pay attention to all of them. So I would need to tell you who the Wind Dukes of Aqua are, and what the Efreeti are up to in multiversal politics and things like that. How much research goes into the average ecology video? Well, I'll tell you what goes on. So when I have a topic, particularly one that I've got very little familiarity with, first thing I do is I check the wiki articles for like the Forgotten Realms wiki and just Wikipedia in general, because those are fairly good for telling me where I can go and look for more information. Wikipedia's annotations for where the source material comes from will tell me which Dragon magazines I need to go and check to find ecology articles, and I will usually print out and read through ecology articles as I'm actually preparing to make the video, and that will take something around 20 or 30 minutes of reading on average, usually more. And if an ecology article is pretty good, then I'll be making notes in separate pieces of paper, and then I start writing my script, referencing stuff from the internet, basically reading through and reordering things in my own way. Sometimes I'll quote wiki articles directly if it's like really succinct and good and I can't improve on it at all. And I just correlate between all the different versions, different editions, find when the major changes to a monster were made as I'm writing the scripts. And then once I've got about 5 pages of script, that's enough for your average 15 to 20 minute video. And then I start recording. So yeah, a lot of people have moaned at me about not practicing, like doing a practice recording of the script before I get started on it. So sometimes I stumble over the names and things like that as I'm making the script. I try and edit out any gaffes that I make. I think I've let one slip through recently, but since I've written it myself, I've already kind of practiced it, because as I write, I talk. I mutter what I'm writing at the same time, but to get the cadence of the sentences and stuff right. So yeah, what I write in the script is very much what I say. Hey Justin, thank you. Just doing my part to support the channel. Can't stay long. Cheers AJ, have a beer on me. Thanks man. I think I might have a beer sitting around somewhere. What do you call the back end of a half lion called woman? It's a sphincter. Nice. Oh gerbil. You never fail to impress me. Is it in the book of erotic fiction? Crikey. Popped in to listen a bit while I dressed to head out. Hopefully I'll get back before the end of the stream. Yeah, I hope so, Greenside. Are there any beings in the D&D universe that are aware of ours? What is the connection between Earth and the D&D lore? Yes, there are. So anybody who has done research on the Mulan people are aware that they came from another Earth-like planet. We know that Elminster and Mordenkainen are aware of Earth because they have gone to Earth to meet with Ed Greenwood and have a chat about how weird it is that there's this thing called D&D on Earth. that talks about them like they're fictional characters. Unless Ed never actually mentioned that. Have opoid slimes been created? No, but I think they should. Do I have a date in mind for the Half Dragon video? Well, if we work out that I do, on average, a couple of videos per week, monster ecology videos, then that would be, let's see, about 3 or 4 weeks. So about a month's time, you'll have the Half Dragon video. Have you ever considered you or the community making a wiki? No, I haven't. I was trolling former VP Joe Biden, and a comment from another fan of yours appeared as mine on that video. Freaked me out. The Rock video. Oh, really? Yeah, I saw that comment on the Rock video. That is weird. Yes, they absolutely broke the fourth wall. True. But, you know, Ed Greenwood. It was because everybody was saying that he was Elminster. So he just sort of played up on it and said, no, you know, you and Elminster have never appeared in the same place at the same time. So he wrote into the law that they actually had a meeting. I thought that was quite funny. Dennis. Funny you should mention that. You offer more info than any single edition of D&D. I can't wait for them to start referencing you in the D&D books. Well, it's not entirely off the cards. No problem, Mike. What do you think about the fact that you have fans all across the world? Ireland here. I don't really think about it. I just think that I'm talking to a couple of people at a time. That's how I do it. Like we're sitting down in a cafe or something and you're asking me about D&D via text. That's yeah. I don't really think about the magnitude of, like, for instance, if you look at the stats for my channel for last month, the combined total of everybody watching the videos adds up to 13 years. That's mind-boggling. I actually did the calculation of how many minutes we watched. 13 years of videos of mine being watched in 1 month. One does not think about such things. Oh, really? That'll be your birthday weekend. Excellent. I should totally make a wiki. Well, I mean, the Patreon, for instance, where all my scripts are located, anybody is free to join Patreon and collate all of that information and make wiki pages out of it. You're quite free to. Just stick the glue in. That's right, Gerbil. Gerbil is Scottish. So the history of Netheril, yeah, possible channel update. Hey, thanks, Jimmy. I was thinking about dropping the Mighty Glue Stick and just calling the channel after me. What do you guys think, or should we stay with the Mighty Glue Stick? I'm on the fence about it, really. I do get a lot of people asking me why it's called the Mighty Glue Stick. Do they have coffee in D&D? They absolutely do. Yep. They've got quite a good export of different things. Yes, I saw the old Disney cartoon Gargoyles. I was quite a fan of it back in the day. A teddy bear golem. Do you need a hug? Care Bear stare? Yeah, just my name? No, never. It's going to be very controversial if I change, because I'll have to change the logo and everything. I'm not doing that much math. I was just curious. I don't normally do the math. Trade on the name. Keep the glue stick. If anybody makes a wiki, please put a like in the chat comments. Mighty Glue Stick is fine. I am quite fond of the Mighty Glue Stick. Better for merch? Yeah. No problem, Nicholas. Nice to have you here. In universe drugs, well, there's lots of toxins and poisons, and I'd imagine that, say, if you had a paralytic poison or something like that, or a poison that would stop the heart in smaller doses, they could be used as a narcotic. So you could have people who are trafficking cut purple dragon venom or something like that, or purple worm venom. Whatever I decide, that's a thing. I'm a crafting channel without the crafting. Yeah, exactly. True. Shout out to DMG and DM Scotty. I refer to you as AJ when I tell people about your video, but your merch is all glue stick themed. Yeah, that's the problem. My channel is called AJ Pickett for ages now, no need to change anyway. Yeah, it's just confusing when I say, hey, this is AJ for the Mighty Glue Stick channel. But it's not the Mighty Glue Stick channel, it's named after me. Trade on my name? Yeah, I think it might be time. It might be time. Yeah. I'm just thinking of like Emilio. I'm thinking of Emiliano. I'm thinking of new audiences who have never heard of the glue stick thing. Want to buy some death sticks? Thanks, Jimmy. The magic. Oh yeah, a mighty glue stick might be a good magical item. Yeah, true. I should make a lore video on it. Mr. Notador, thank you, and thanks to all your friends. Rename myself the Mighty Cheese Stick. Yeah. Hey, Gadzooks. Hey, AJ. Who would Faerunians consider to be some of the most famous adventurers ever? Ooh, that's a good question. That is a good question. Well, not a lot of them. Like, a lot of the ones that we're very familiar with, the people of Faerun themselves are not familiar with. They would be aware of Kalimvor and those who have ascended to godhood, because really gods fill that role a lot in their legends and lore and things. They talk about gods and demigods. They don't necessarily talk a lot about individuals as famous individuals because it's very regional. There's not a lot of global activity in Faerun. Yeah, and a lot of the stuff we're very aware of, Time of Troubles, Elminster, all that sort of stuff, Drizzt, Wulfgar, Canterbury, Bruenor, Battlehammer. Probably Bruenor is fairly well known, being a king of the dwarves and being fairly active as an adventurer. But there's a huge amount of history in Forgotten Realms. And a lot of people are very rural. Yeah, superglue can be an absolutely horrifying tool if used correctly. TCW, the cheese wizard. I might build a group of YouTubers below me and my glue stick name. Yeah, could possibly. I have inspired a few people to make YouTube channels, and I'm always happy to help them out in any way possible. Drizzt the Mary Sue Duerden. Well, some may say. Do they have trading cards of the famous heroes? Yeah. For instance, you could say that Vecna, who's a multiversal god character now, he was more famous on Greyhawk, so people on Faerun may never have heard of Vecna. They won't have heard of Acererak either. So Acerek's a new thing, a new threat to the people of Faerun. Yeah, the Seven Sisters, yep, Midnight. Also, a lot of the stuff that we remember and know about in the Forgotten Realms, they died about 100 years ago because the timeline advances in leaps and bounds. So Kalimvor and Midnight and stuff, that was a very long time ago. Hey, thank you, CW. You are honestly the reason we're here. Use your name for the channel. You deserve the immediate credit for your excellent work. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it may possibly be time. Tell you what, I'll put a survey up on the community channel. I bet it's going to be a 50-50 split. Shall we keep the mighty glue stick, or shall we just go with AJ Pickett? Vector. Where's your dwarven video, Kiwi? Dwarves deep is something you need. Yeah, dwarves is quite an involved subject. I mean, if I'm getting to the major races, the elves and the dwarves and the humans, those are major subjects, considering how deeply I go into the topic. Dwarven history stretches back to well before the Netheril Empire. So we're talking at the late age of, just before the late age of the Amaskari Empire. The dwarves were just settling in the Sword Coast, the Spine of the World Mountains. So Delzown was founded around then. Yeah, but the elves had been around 10,000 years before the dwarves even got there. Do female dwarves have beards? Yes, they do. They have at least got long sideburns. So they got sideburns and they got little wispy bits there. They don't necessarily have full, big, thick beards. And they're just as proud of their beards as the males are. There's actually some really good artwork, which I think I'll share with you guys, from Lord of the Rings, where even though they're just going through the background, the dwarven women they did a lot of research on like dwarven female characters, and there's a lot of test shots and stuff, even though they're just in the background of the shots. Yeah, a lot of people have Mr. L. You've never seen the Mighty Glue Stick, right? Yeah, collectible cards. Oh man, not another MILF. Elminster again? There'd be like 16 Elminster cards. I looked up actual prehistoric insects after watching your Ankeg video. There was an 8-inch water scorpion. Or was an 8-foot water scorpion. Yeah, they are terrifying. Yeah, well, the elves were responsible for a lot of troubles, actually. They probably started the war, the 1,000-year war between the dragons and the giants. Dark elves coming up and bringing drugs. They probably do. Yeah, oh yeah, I see. That elitism of people who know why it's called the Mighty Glue Stick Channel and people who don't. That's something to consider. Did anyone say Hastur? We need to start asking about this Sverfneblin question. What is the Sverfneblin question? Is there anything under the Underdark? Well, no, not really. There's the Far Realm, which borders in places it sort of bubbles into the Underdark. Oh. Yeah, the 5th edition player's handbook has got a beardless dwarf lady. Perhaps she just shaves her beard so it's less uncomfortable in a helmet. Maybe she likes a full face helmet. Maybe it's just like the picture of the halfling in there and an absolute abomination that should be erased from D&D history. Call me biased. Ah, thanks, Emiliano. Yeah, I've actually got to do some crafting because I have had some people ask me like, "Why did you do crafting?" I was like, "Yeah, I do crafting. I make miniatures, so I need to make a crafting video at some point. So I'll just pop that in here randomly as a bonus video, me crafting a monster." Ooh, that's a good question, Dragon Turtle. If a deity, so we've already started on the multiversal questions. Oh, that's pretty good. It's been a half an hour. If a deity has different levels of power in different crystal spheres, how does that work outside the material plane, or total followers across the crystal spheres? Well, it is related to the total amount of followers across the crystal spheres. So the whole thing of being a god or being elevated to a god is the fact that you connect all of your alternate selves. Remember that who was it? Jet Li did that movie One, where there was a version of him from an alternate parallel dimension that was killing all the other versions of him from other parallel dimensions, so that only one of him existed, and that somehow magnified his power, which is a ridiculous concept, but there you go. It was a good movie, I suppose. Well, it's the same sort of thing with gods. So when they connect to all their multiversal selves, they amplify all of their followers and power, and become greater gods, across the spheres, and they get greater awareness and stuff. But of course, this could go very wrong if they're not intelligent enough or capable enough. They can be driven insane by the flood of information, which is assaulting them from multiple dimensions at the same time. Essentially, their awareness becomes a kaleidoscope of different realities. So gods don't see things the way we see things. They see into the past and the future. They see multiple locations at the same time, and they have multiple points of view at the same time because they exist through different avatars who are the versions of them that the people in that crystal sphere think exist. So Thor for Forgotten Realms may be different from the Thor from Earth, which may be different from the Thor from Greyhawk, which may be different from the Thor from Eberron. Obviously, the Earth Thor is going to look like Chris Hemsworth at the moment, even though Thor's got red hair. But whatever. So you can see that there's going to be multiple different Thors, and they all add up to be Thor Prime sort of thing, the Thor that is existing in the aside from everything else. So when you get to one of the outer planes, it really changes depending on your point of view of what that outer plane looks like. But again, it's got a lot of alien aspects to it, so it's the greater reality of Thor from all those different crystal spheres that you encounter, not just the Thor that you think existed from your own crystal sphere's religious point of view. Who made the crystal spheres? Nobody knows. Ta, yeah. Thoth. Thor just died, is he red? Pfft. Is that past tense? Did Chris Hemsworth just take? No. He's a flaming redhead. Yeah, well, that makes sense, Michael. If an avatar of God is far away from the plane where they were given influence, then yeah, they would lose power. But if they went to the outer plane where their God resides, then they become quite powerful. Right, Soul, exactly. Have I done a video on Zastam? No, I haven't. I've done a video on Thay where I talk about Zastam. Remember that Zastam is no longer active in the Forgotten Realms, so it's a historic video in a way. What did I think about the Diamond Dragon that I sent you? I like it. It's cool. Hey, thank you, Danny. Yeah, I'm having a great day. By your Thors combined, I am a god. Cinch in the house, yeah. Yeah, I am also quite a fan of Warhammer 40k. So if people want to see me make videos about Warhammer 40k, I'm quite happy to. As you know, I'm not a complete slave to popularity. That's why I actually have a recorded live game. And these live streams obviously don't get a huge amount of views, but I love doing them because I love hanging out and talking with you guys. Make Thay great again. Thay is actually doing pretty well, actually. They've got a huge amount of influence because they've set themselves up as the International Magic Users Network, or Magic Item Sales Network. So they're the go-to. You see some red robes somewhere, not necessarily shaven heads or tattoos anymore, but you see those red robes, you think, I wonder if they sell magical rings and stuff, or can I fence my magical items with these people? And so they get this influence that way. IO mad the spheres. No Tam, you crazy lich. Could a minor god and many spheres overpower a major god in one sphere, or is their status averaged out? Well, obviously the major god is just going to stick with that sphere, so he's going to stay where his power center is at. The minor god with multiple spheres probably has a major aspect somewhere else. And we're talking infinite amounts of parallel dimensions. Do owls shave their pits? No, they don't. They don't have any underarm here. 40k, yes, please. Okay. Did someone say 40k? Yeah, they don't have anybody here. That's well known. Do a video on Merkel. I've got some reference to the Netherese pantheon, which some people will find interesting, like Jurgel, for instance. You'd have no complaints about 40k content? Okay. Yeah, Lords of Ruin. So we could present it as what would happen if another threat arrived in the D&D multiverse, and that was, what if the Warhammer 40k universe is on the other end of the Far Realm? So you could say that the warp is in fact Far Realmish, which pretty much is, and the Warhammer multiverse, Warhammer universe, is just a on the other side of that. Or perhaps Warhammer 40k is another multiverse. You could say that about anything. You could say that Star Wars is another multiverse because it's completely separated from the D&D multiverse. You could say the Harry Potter multiverse. It's a different parallel dimension to Earth. Why don't I do a vid on my favourite characters? I do kind of do videos on my favourite characters. I am working on other stuff in the background. Do you enjoy any of the World of Darkness games, AJ? I have played in the Mage Mage Ascension game. So I'm familiar with the game system. I haven't played Werewolf or Vampire, but I'm familiar with how those games operate. And I just don't have enough experience with them to do it. And there's also a lot of lore involving the different vampire clans and stuff like that I probably won't make any videos on those, sorry. Mercury doesn't rust, that's true. Well, yeah, Warhammer 40k. So to give you some perspective on Games Workshop, they were originally like a branch, the UK branch of D&D. So Steve Jackson, Sir Ian Livingstone, these guys were responsible for the creation of the first Fiend Folio. So that was White Dwarf magazine, which was a book which celebrated all aspects of gaming but was mostly concentrating on D&D. Had the readers write in with different monsters that they created, and those became the monsters of the first Fiend Folio. So all of those creatures that have their origin in the Fiend Folio are actually the creation of UK fans of Dungeons & Dragons back when Games Workshop was all set up to make miniatures and things for Dungeons & Dragons. Unfortunately, or you could say fortunately for the people who love Warhammer 40k, that all came a cropper when TSR essentially said, no, we're going with another miniature manufacturer, Grenadier, and they're going to make miniatures for our game line, and you're not allowed to. Now, you could say that was dirty pool, and I certainly would. I would say that really stinked, and they just screwed over Games Workshop quite badly, considering how much work they'd done for them, considering that Fiend Folio was supposed to be the second monster manual for first edition D&D, but it ended up being the third, or not even being called a monster manual. It was the Fiend Folio. But I mean, yeah, it's withstood the test of time for sure. We wouldn't have the Githyanki and the Githzerai if it wasn't for the Fiend Folio. We wouldn't have a lot of things. And Games Workshop thought, well, okay, if we can't use Dungeons & Dragons franchise, then we'll make our own fantasy game. So they made Warhammer Fantasy, and from Warhammer Fantasy they created Warhammer 40k. And so, yeah, Citadel and Games Workshop have sprung up around that industry. It's long been a UK centric branch of fantasy wargaming and role playing. So there you go. The Stranger Things box set, yeah. Talk about cashing in on something. Why not? The warp is eventually Lovecraftian horror crossed with the Doom Hell. Yeah. Do you allow fast travel gates in your games? I absolutely do. Yeah, for sure. I've used them. One of the most famous was a tree network. So the trees were an ancient Fey teleportation network, the Green Path, and the trees were sentient. Many do a video or two or something relating RPGs regarding tabletop RPing, regarding other settings like Star Wars and fantasy. Yeah, I could. Clive Barker. Oh yeah, I've read and really enjoyed some Clive Barker books. They're very evocative of a particular. Like he sort of glosses over some background stuff, like he's writing a short story in parts, and then he really concentrates on bits in the book where the narrative really makes you concentrate on a certain moment, and then he just once he's got your attention, Clive Barker just rips your mind wide open. He's a really good author. Mage the Ascension, yeah, that one. Well, Dragon Turtle, that's kind of what I was answering. What would their status be in other planes like the outer, inner, or transitive planes? They would have multiple statuses at the same time. Some of them never reach the greater god status, or we're not aware of the greater god status that they have somewhere else. Is there a D&D explanation for the Earth's mythology of gods and creatures such as centaurs? Well, no, not really. I mean, we don't need a D&D explanation for our own mythology because we've got our own mythology to explain where it comes from. It would be more like what would the D&D scholars' interpretation be of what Earth people think the mythology is? It's like, what? So, I mean, but that's also a multiversal question as well. It's like, what sort of mythology do the people of Eberron have in regard to centaurs? What kind of mythology do the people of Krynn have in regard to the origin of centaurs, or minotaurs for that matter? So they've got different versions of the same sort of things. There could be a lot of parallel evolution of different monster types with quite different origin stories, but they just fit the conditions. That's a good question, Dragon Turtle. Would I rather have TSR back or stick with Wizard of the Coast? I would absolutely rather stick it with Wizard of the Coast, because D&D's doing really well, and TSR did some strange things. I just recently got the Arts and Arcana book of celebrating the artwork and the history of Dungeons and Dragons, and it goes over a lot of the advertising and the products and side businesses that and merchandising and stuff that TSR was involved with Dungeons and Dragons, and they were on the ropes quite a lot back in the early days. Even when the game was fairly popular, they struggled with capital and things, and they made all sorts of weird decisions because they just didn't know what the market was. They were trying to expand the market, they didn't know how. Hey Scott, it's all good. Yeah, the Far Realm is essentially everything outside of the universe, the multiverse. There isn't really a wrong way to do it. Exactly. Some say it's like a sandwich of different realities, where the borders between different realities change. Well, I think Saltmarsh is just being presented as an adventure, and this where exactly it's set is up to you. Very much like their earlier stuff. They'll have a sidebar saying where you can put Saltmarsh in your particular setting that you are playing. It's not a revival of Greyhawk. Greyhawk is not coming back for fifth edition. If it was, it probably would have happened already. I'm not saying absolutely, never say never, but I don't think it's likely that they're going to revive Greyhawk. They'll certainly update and bring stuff from Greyhawk, most popular stuff from Greyhawk, into 5th edition, but it's up to you which setting you put it in. So a lot of the stuff from Greyhawk that they think can be adapted to Faerun, they will present it as an option. Okay, yeah, you got me there, Parter. Wizards of the Coast needs to seriously look at their printing stuff. But I mean, their latest books seem to be pretty well put together. Maybe they just had lots of teething troubles with those first editions. But I mean, let's have a look here. That's not good, Wizards of the Coast. That's not a good look. Player's Handbook. Not a good look at all. Look at this nonsense. Things just fall apart. Luckily, I know how to fix these. Basically, you just take all the pages out, you put some PVA wood glue down the back spine there, and then you stick the pages back in there. Because essentially, that's all they're stuck in with on that spine. Like the stitching and stuff, that fabric bit there makes it look like it's a stitched back spine on the book. It's not at all. It's just glued in like a pad of writing of scrap paper. You can see the glue pad there. So what they essentially did in the manufacturing of these is they put a strip of glue there, and then it would have gone along a production line or something, and then they would have stuck all the pages in there. But what happened was, I think the glue was substandard, or it dried before the pages actually got there, and they just didn't stick in very well. Essentially, it didn't absorb into the pages. The pages were too glossy for that type of glue, so they fall out, just like a pad of scrap paper. See you later, Voltida, Meme Lord. Rawhead Rex was an awesome demon in Clive Barker's works. Yep. Halflings would be an interesting choice for a Roman Legion style military. Yeah. Slings for halflings, definitely. Fifth edition Dragonlance. Well, we can dream. Could I do a video on the methods of travel between the planes, like spells, how to do permanent portals and stuff? Yeah, sure. That's a good idea. I want to note that down. That could be one of my little bonus rambles. I should also do a video on teleportation, on summoning as well. Remember I did that live stream where I was talking about demon summoning and devil summoning? I think that's a topic that a lot of people would be interested in. Maybe. Summoning. And travel between planes. And also what it's like to turn up on an outer plane of the cosmos. I mean, what it's actually like. It's kind of weird. Tiny little legionnaires with 2-foot long spears. Yeah. And what is it with all the chibi miniatures lately? Everybody's into chibi stuff. But if you want to expand Greyhawk, just know that it's largely King Arthur mythology, chivalry and whatnot. True. Chivalry is mostly rules about killing people. It's not rules about opening doors for women. Strange. I don't know how it got that word mixed up. The Wizards of the Coast blurb for Saltmarsh says, nestled on the coast of the Azure Sea. Does it? Well. Then I suppose the Greyhawk people have got nothing to complain about. I know this is kind of off topic. Well, there's nothing off topic as long as it's related to D&D, Jimmy. What do you expect from a possible 5.5 or 6th edition? Let's see. If they were going to make a 6th edition for Dungeons and Dragons, I think I've got a list of things that I'd like to see. Like, for instance, I think minions from 4th edition were fantastic and really needed to stay in the game, because the overwhelming strength of groups of creatures in 5th edition, because of the bounded accuracy, is great, and it makes them viable for later editions of play, but it can really bog down and slow down play as well, because if all of those creatures have got a full complement of hit points, I mean, you can fudge it and say, look, they've only got a few hit points each because they're sickly or whatever, but the idea of minions having only 1 hit point each and just being goons that you slash through on your way to get to the boss is really good, because they were great for slowing down things and also making things very intimidating at the start of combat. My friend Ian will attest to basically throwing in the towel or questioning my sanity every time he comes across some sort of a challenging encounter, like when recently we had an encounter with a demon that summoned in 2 Vroks, and he was just like, what's the challenge rating? Yeah. Hi Ian. Where he was questioning me, what, is the challenge rating correct on those? Can we actually win this fight? And I was like, yeah, it's all good. Don't fret. What the hell's a chibi? Chibis are the little miniatures with the big heads, like little doll-like miniatures, like real short little versions of things. So it would be like a halfling-sized minotaur with a big head and little horns on it. Basically cutesified anime-style things. Sorry, Obstark, that question's got to stay hidden because that's not appropriate. 4th edition is the best edition. Not at high level play, it wasn't. You got to admit, the power creep was kind of crazy. You feel personally attacked right now. Well, what's your challenge rating, Ian? We all have our quirks when we play D&D. It also is a factor that Ian is a very good dungeon master himself. So when he questions things, I do pay attention when he's asking me whether I actually did do the calculations again for the second time and going, yeah, no, it's fine. Making sure. See you, Danny. Hey, Tracy PD for life. Demon brings in the murder-happy minions. That's always fun. Yeah, it was. 1/4 CR. You 1/4 CR, possibly. I bring the power of guns. Yeah, sorry, Obstark. I've got to worry about, monetization. They don't like bonus actions anymore. Yeah. If Wizards makes a 6th edition for Dungeons and Dragons, it will drive people back to Pathfinder again. Possibly. I mean, that would be good news for Pathfinder. But then again, Pathfinder really... I don't know. What does everybody think about 2nd edition Pathfinder? I mean, really, would you go running towards that? Or would you go for something like Fantasy Age? Ian and I both play Fantasy Age, and that's a great game. It's very much, sandboxy. You like the books for 4th edition, the artwork. Now, it was how it was all organised. It was very nice, but I prefer games like Scion and Gamma World with some more homebrewed rules, sort of. Oh yeah, Gamma World, really? Gamma World, I think, was consummate 4th edition in a way. Like, it was very much by the numbers punch card gameplay. Like, you literally played it like a trading card game. Which I've got no beef with. I mean, I play Magic the Gathering. I love it, as everybody should know. Do cities in Forgotten Realms have permanent gateways in your games for fast travel? Not all of them. Some of them certainly do. but these are not like public gateways. So they're very strictly controlled for obvious reasons, and usually very secret. So that would be regarded as like a very strong military secret, that there's a gateway between two different locations in Forgotten Realms, because there's lots of bad things that would most certainly love to sneak inside of a city and let off a bomb. You use a lot of homebrew Pathfinder, yeah. If you are very interested in the Pathfinder lore, like particularly for monsters and things, Jared is making so Your Pocket DM on YouTube. He's making a lot of conversions of the lore. Well, he's bringing a lot of the really good, rich lore from Pathfinder, which I'm unaware of, and presenting them for 5th edition players to basically homebrew them into your game. And he includes a lot of stats and stuff that he's converted in the descriptions of the videos as well. So it's very much worth a look. If you love Pathfinder and you want to bring that to 5th edition, then that's the channel to watch. And I'm absolutely biased and stuff, because he looks after my my Patreon. He looks after my Discord channel along with Gerbil and Bryce. Hey, Catch Jack, thank you very much. Get AJ, is Lamrith the Doom of the Desert in 5th edition canon? I don't know. I'm not familiar. I'll have to find out for you. Let's if that's spelt correctly, I should be able to find it real quick. It's almost time for me to go, folks. We're into bonus time. Lamrith, the Bane of the Desert. I'm sorry, what was that? Limrith. You mean Imrith? Imrith. Very powerful sorcerer and blue dragon. Yep, absolutely. Definitely canon. Limrith tirelessly explored all ancient Netherese ruins in the Ascor area in search of magic. In her lair, she was always protected by her gargoyle servants. She experimented often with new spells, sometimes with catastrophic results, especially with the goal of transferring her sentience from draconic body to body in order to obtain a transcendent state of existence as a disembodied, mist-like flying spirit. Very interesting. And she often transformed into a stone giant. She was first recorded in 570 DR when she destroyed a Bedine camp. Soon after, she challenged an old dragon in the High Moor but was defeated. Imrith crashed into some Netherese ruins in the Forgotten Forest. There, she somehow gained some powerful magical abilities. The most convincing theory was that she had become a servant of an archmage who magically altered her body. Together, Imrith and the skeletal figure raided villages and caravans in the Dalimba Vale and the Sword Coast. Yeah, so she's definitely a famous character, a famous monster. Where's she found? She's found in Storm King's Thunder, the Dragons of Faerun, mostly Storm King's Thunder though, so relatively recent. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'd say absolutely she's canon. For sure. What do I think about firearms in D&D? I think they're absolutely fine. Firearms aren't very overpowering in Dungeons and Dragons at all. They're quite limited in a way because of their requirement for mechanical engineering and some skill in their use, and also how do you get more bullets in D&D? And the bullets are a limited resource. They're actually harder to recharge in a way than a wand is. So if you can get a magical wand that can fire unerring magical missiles, then that's way better than a firearm. So I don't see why people are bothered about firearms. They do put the power of magic in the hands of ordinary mortals though. But you could say somebody who mass manufactures wands that fire out magic missiles is just as dangerous. In fact, that would be more logical, wouldn't it? if you're an army and you were looking at a way of being the great equalizer, just equip all of your soldiers with wands of magic missile. Unerring shots. Fantastic. One way to counter that would be to say that firearms have got a greater range than magic missile. But then you could ensorcerable bullets, so that the bullets are actually never miss or have magical effects that that occur on impact. So, yeah. They need to better organise the actual info in books for future editions. Yeah, I'd agree. They are getting a lot better though. Like the first adventure that they brought out for Dungeons and Dragons was quite a mess, really. But the latest ones are really good. The latest Underdark book is really good and well organised, for example. That's a fantastic book. And also Ravnica is really well organised and a very good book. You could say the Ravnica is a standard format source book for 5th edition, I would say. Are there any homebrew rules that I use? Also, do you agree that Dragonborn should have tails? I think it's completely optional that Dragonborns have tails. They can or cannot. It really depends on what the player wants. They don't make a huge amount of difference in gameplay for a dungeon master, so I wouldn't bother about it. If the player really wants a Dragonborn with a tail, or if you want a Dragonborn with a tail, go for it. Prehensile tail that can actually do things is another story. That I would have questions about, but it's okay. I mean, Aarakocra can have wings that fly, so what does a prehensile tail matter, really? Gith can have got telepathic powers, or telekinetic powers, I should say. So, in regard to homebrew, we quite often have it so that, like, for instance, I don't like the way that the sleep spell is organised in 5th edition, so I allow individual monsters to make saving throws against the sleep effect. So they basically just save against the DC. It's not a matter of hit points. I don't want to work out hit points. I just want to do this saving throw thing. It's a lot easier. That also means that sleep can be more powerful for characters at higher level. And we also have unlimited amounts of inspiration points, so that when I award an inspiration point, it just stacks with other inspiration points. And you can spend 1 inspiration point per round. But you can have multiple inspiration points, and I award them mostly for roleplay and clever roleplaying in character. That's about it, really. I think Ian will be able to correct me if there's any that I've forgotten. I'm glad you're enjoying Gamma World 6th edition. I like the bit in the Crystal Shard where the rookie wizard made an error with rune summoning a demon. They were good enough to bring it through, but not good enough to command it. So, dead wizard, yeah, very much. A quick off-topic question. What do you folks think about a whole armor of brilliance rather than just a helm? I believe it would be a legendary magic item at least. Yeah, probably. Dragon Turtle, Chuck Norris can maze the Lady of Pain, so whatever. Yeah. Chuck Norris. Somebody stat up Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris has no stats. You like Dragonstar and Spelljammer for Pathfinder? We need more kobolds. Cute, adorable little militaristic killing machines. Yeah, exactly, Michael. The gates are private, for sure. Oh yeah, the channel that's doing Pathfinder is Your Pocket DM. Just look that up on, put that in your search for YouTube. Your Pocket DM. Well, same riser. The Cormier has got the Purple Dragon Knights, and they have basically they've got a mage force. Also, Waterdeep uses the basically when the police say shall we summon the cloaks, that means that they're threatening to bring in magic users to deal with you. So magic using police officers in Dungeons and Dragons are kind of like the the feds. You know, they've got powers beyond ordinary. That's when they say your civil rights are about to be violated, pal. Unless you cooperate, we're going to bring in some cloaks, and they will mind screw you. You know, they will force you to tell the truth. I will, you goat. See you later. How do I feel about Shadowrun? I'm ambivalent towards Shadowrun. It's been around forever, and I've often been tempted to play it, but I never have because I just played D&D. How long have I been playing D&D? Hey, Matrix. Thanks for your comments earlier on, by the way. I've been playing D&D since the Red Box Basic set. That was about 1984, I believe, something like that. I think I was about 11 years old, maybe a bit younger. Yeah. So I was born when D&D was invented, also the end of the Vietnam War, 14th February 1973. And I've been playing D&D for the majority of my life. And yeah, I'm very glad for it. We've forgotten about Yubtub, and he that shall be our doom. Yeah, possibly. Yubtub thrives on our ignorance. See you later, Stanchgate. Are goblins to kobolds the same as humans are to dragonborn? No. WBA, the water deep. What is it? What's the WBI? Water deep. BI. Bureau of Investigation. Get on the ground. You never forget about Yubtub. Yeah, who could? See you later, Stardust. Well, it is pretty much the end of the stream, everybody. Oh, Your Pocket GM, not DM, right. Gaming conventions. It's like everybody who doesn't play D&D says, I'm a GM, not a DM. I'm not a dungeon master, I'm a game master. It's the same with Palladium and all that other stuff. They like to signify that they don't play D&D by calling themselves GMs, not DMs. That's a conceit, really. Ah, not my mind. I got civil rights. Good baker? In my Ecology of the Gods video, here we go. You said, you mentioned different things that the gods could do based on their power level. If they had multiple simultaneous on other planes, how does that work? Well, it depends on what level of power on that particular plane that particular avatar of that god has. So if you wanted to include a lesser version of Moradin on another plane of existence, it gives you the power to do so. So Moradin could just be an avatar of the Dwarven Pantheon on another plane. It gives you some wriggle room to do what you want to do as a dungeon master telling a story. That's all. That's really all of the complexity there is behind it. It just gives you the ability to tell the story that you want to tell. It gives you more flexibility. So Moradin doesn't have to be a greater god in every single setting that he's introduced to. It's really entirely in your hands as a dungeon master. So yeah, when it talks about their specific, when it says in this setting it's a greater god, then it has those package of greater god powers or lesser god powers or demigod powers. Yeah, the devils would be containing Yubtub. Would the Illithid be less inclined towards evil if they had other ways to sustain themselves, like killing, other than killing people? Well, they can. Thanks, Tracy. Thank you. Illithids can sustain themselves using sort of artificial means, those little brain things, living brain things. But it's kind of junk food. They are addicted to brains of humans, so they don't necessarily need to kill them, but they want to. I mean, if there's no real parallel with humankind, but if the only way we could taste sweet was the brain of other creatures, do you think we would eat a lot of brains of other creatures? Yeah, if the only way that we could taste sweet things was by eating the brain of an intelligent creature, we would probably do that as human beings, I'm just saying. So they're addicted to brains. Brains are their drug, as well as a form of sustenance. But they have other forms of nourishment. They don't necessarily die out completely when there aren't other brains around. But if they have no access to their own methods of creating food for themselves, and don't have any brains, then they will starve to death. What do you think of play with minotaurs as characters? I know that they're used in Dragonlance. Yeah, I've got no problem with minotaurs being used as characters. We've got a long history in Dungeons and Dragons play where I come from of minotaurs being used as characters. They're big, they're clunky, they're quite often fairly emotional, but they're quite interesting characters for sure. They're not unbalancing in any way. You're more of a savoury guy yourself? Sure. Okay, what if all brains tasted like bacon and that was the only thing that tasted like bacon? The best bacon. Yeah, so brains are illicit sweetmeat. Sweetmeats. Exactly. Is Eberron in book format or PDF? Yes, both. They're not. I don't think there's currently. They're not currently printing any Eberron books, but there are. You can pick them up from eBay, and of course, there's always PDFs. This is the internet. Yeah, definitely take a look at the different guilds in Ravnica. The Izzet are fascinating. Back on! Back on. Yeah. Alright, everybody. Time for me to go. Have a fantastic week. Look forward to that Netheril video. I'm fairly proud of it. Yeah. Halberd to the face. Oh, Jimmy. Illicit vegans would be worse than illicit candy. Yeah. Ogres. Oh, that's another story entirely. Are ogres even like ogres are really aggressive? So they're like, if you're going to play a murder hobo, just play an ogre. Okay, everybody, I gotta shoot. Have a fantastic day. Nicole, I have no idea what that meant. Would illithids feed on other lithids? No, generally they don't eat other illithid brains. It's not compatible. I will, Levi. Ogres aren't people, yeah. Not at all. The giant kin. Sons of Vaprak. Yes, Powder, it's true. Catch you later.